Let me tell you something that's going to make you uncomfortable. When a man hurts a good woman and loses her, he knows. He knows exactly what he did. And deep down, he's terrified. Not the kind of fear you show on your face, the kind that keeps him up at night when no one's watching, the kind that makes him check your social media months later, the kind that makes him wonder if he just made the biggest mistake of his life. But here's the part that'll really get you. He'll never tell you. He'll act like he's fine. Like he moved on in 2 seconds, like you meant nothing. And you'll believe it. You'll think he just doesn't care, that he's out there living his best life while you're still healing. But that's the lie he needs you to believe. Because if you knew the truth, if you knew what actually goes through his head after he loses you, you'd realize something powerful. You'd realize he didn't win, he lost. And he knows it. See, most women think men just forget and move on, that they don't feel anything, that they hurt you and skip to the next person without looking back. And sure, some guys are like that, but a man who hurt a real one, a good woman who actually loved him, who showed up for him, who saw the best in him, that man carries something heavy, something he can't shake off no matter how hard he tries. It sits in his chest. It follows him into every new situation, every new date, every quiet moment alone. And the worst part, good women don't play games. You don't chase. You don't beg. You don't blow up his phone trying to get answers. You just leave. You walk away with your head up. And that's what scares him the most, because he can't undo it. He can't take back what he did. And now he has to live with the fact that he had something real and he threw it away. You see, when a man messes up with the wrong woman, it's easy to move past. She was toxic. She was dramatic. She made his life hell. He can tell himself he dodged a bullet, but when he messes up with a good woman, there's no story he can tell himself that makes it okay. There's no excuse that sticks. Deep down, he knows she was the one who actually cared, the one who had his back, the one who made him feel like he mattered, and now she's gone. And it's his fault. That's the fear most men hide. The fear that they'll never find that again. The fear that every woman after you will remind them of what they lost. The fear that one day they'll be ready for real love and it'll be too late because you've already moved on and found someone who actually deserves you. So in this video, I'm breaking down the 6 things a man secretly fears after he hurts a good woman. Not the surface stuff, not what he tells his friends, the real fears, the ones that keep him stuck. The ones he'll never say out loud, but you can see if you know what to look for. Because understanding this isn't about getting him back. It's about knowing your worth. It's about realizing that walking away from someone who didn't value you wasn't a loss. It was a power move. And the fear he carries after losing you, that's his to deal with, not yours. You see, a good woman is rare, not because good women don't exist, but because the connection you had, the way you fit together, the way you actually cared about who he was as a person, that's not something you find every day. And deep down, he knows that. He knew it when he was with you, but he took it for granted. He thought he could find it again easily, or worse, he thought maybe there was someone better out there. But here's what actually happens. He goes on dates and the women are fine. Maybe they're attractive, maybe they're fun, but there's no depth, no real connection, just surface level conversations and empty laughs. And every single time his brain does this thing where it compares them to you, the way you listened, the way you cared, the way you made him feel like he mattered. And that comparison, it kills every new thing before it even starts, because no one measures up. Not because these new women aren't great, but because they're not you. They don't know his favorite food or why he loves that one movie or what makes him stressed about work. They don't know him. And starting over, trying to build that again, feels exhausting. So the fear sets in. What if I never find this again? What if I just walked away from the one person who actually got me? What if every relationship from here on out is just okay, never great, because I already had great and I ruined it? And here's the part that makes it worse. He can't reach out. His pride won't let him. He can't admit he was wrong. He can't say he misses you. So he just sits with that fear. He carries it into every new situation. Every time he meets someone, there's this voice in the back of his head saying she's not her. And that voice never really goes away. The truth is, men don't realize what they have until it's gone. When something is always there, always available, always supporting you, your brain stops seeing it as special. It becomes normal, expected, and you stop appreciating it. But the second it's gone, your brain panics because now it realizes what it lost. And for a man who hurt a good woman, that panic is permanent because he can't go back. You're not waiting for him anymore. You're not an option he can return to when he's ready. You moved on. And that's the fear he has to live with. The fear that he had his shot at something real and he blew it. Let's dive into the second fear. And this one's quiet, but it eats at him constantly. The fear that you're doing better without him. After the breakup, he expects you to fall apart, not in a mean way. He just assumes you'll be sad. Maybe you'll reach out. Maybe you'll post sad quotes on social media or try to get his attention somehow. In his mind, that's how it goes. You'll struggle for a bit and that'll make him feel like he mattered. But then something happens that he didn't expect. You don't fall apart. You don't chase him. You don't post cryptic messages or blast sad songs on your stories. You just go quiet. You disappear from his world. And that silence, it's louder than any words you could have said. Because silence from a woman who used to care says one thing: I'm okay, I'm moving on, and you're no longer part of my life. And that terrifies him. Because if you're okay, if you're thriving without him, then what does that say about his role in your life? He wants to believe he was important, that losing him would hurt, that you'd need time to heal because what you had was so deep. But your silence tells a different story. It tells him that maybe he wasn't as important as he thought. Maybe you're actually better off without him. Here's something most people get wrong about men. They think men don't process loss the same way women do, that men just move on faster, feel less, care less. And on the surface, that looks true. A guy can seem totally fine a week after a breakup, out with friends, talking to new people, acting like nothing happened. But that's not the full story. Men process emotions differently, not better, not worse, just different. Where women feel things right away and intensely, men push it down. They distract themselves. They stay busy. They avoid the feelings. And for a while, it works. They convince themselves they're good, that the breakup was the right call, that life goes on. But here's what happens next. It catches up. Maybe not today, maybe not next week, but eventually when the distractions fade and the newness wears off, reality hits. And that's when a man starts to feel the weight of what he lost. That's when the fear starts creeping in. Not fear of being alone, fear of realizing he let go of something he can't replace. You see, the thing about a good woman is she's not just another person in his life. She's the person who made everything easier, the one who listened without judging, the one who supported his dreams even when they sounded crazy, the one who laughed at his dumb jokes and made him feel like he was enough exactly as he was. And when she's gone, he doesn't just miss her. He misses the version of himself he was when he was with her. That's the part people don't talk about. A good woman doesn't just love a man. She brings out the best in him. She makes him want to be better, not in a pushy way, not by nagging or demanding or trying to change him, just by being there, by believing in him, by making him feel safe enough to actually try. And when a man loses that, he doesn't just lose a relationship, he loses a mirror, the one person who reflected back the beat. Some parts of who he is. And now he's left looking at himself without that reflection. And a lot of times he doesn't like what he sees. So when we talk about what a man fears after hurting a good woman, we're not talking about surface level stuff. We're talking about deep gut level fears that most men don't even have words for. Fears they can't explain to their friends because it makes them sound weak. Fears they push down and try to ignore because facing them means admitting they messed up something important. But those fears are there, and they shape everything that comes after, every decision, every new relationship, every quiet moment when he's forced to be honest with himself. So let's break down exactly what those fears are, because once you understand them, you'll never question your worth again. Let's talk about the first fear. And this one hits different because it's the one that shows up first. The fear that he'll never find someone like you again. Right after a breakup, a man usually feels relieved. There's this rush of freedom. No more arguments, no more pressure, no more having to show up or explain himself. He can do whatever he wants. And for a little while, that feels good. It feels like he made the right choice, like he's better off. But then something shifts. He starts dating again. He meets new people, and that's when it hits him. No one feels the same. No one gets him the way you did. No one makes him feel as comfortable or understood or seen. And slowly, that relief turns into something else. Regret mixed with fear. So what does he do? He checks. He looks at your social media. He asks mutual friends about you. He drives past places he knows you'll be, not because he wants you back. At least not yet, but because he needs to know. He needs to see if you're struggling, if you're thinking about him, if you miss him. And when he sees you looking happy, posting pictures with friends, smiling in ways you didn't smile toward the end of the relationship, something breaks inside him because it confirms his fear. You're not just okay, you're better. And he's the one sitting there wondering what went wrong. Here's the thing about men and ego. A man's ego is tied to how much he feels needed. When a woman depends on him, looks up to him, makes him feel like he's the hero in her story, that feeds something deep in him. But when you walk away and show him you don't need him, when you prove that your happiness doesn't depend on his presence, it shatters that ego. And that's scary for him because now he has to face the truth. He wasn't the prize. You were. He didn't do you a favor by being with you. You did him a favor by choosing him. And now that you're gone, he's realizing just how much you brought to his life. The support, the love, the peace, all of it gone. And you're out there living your life like it was easy to let him go. But here's what makes this fear even worse. He starts to see you level up. Maybe you got a new job. Maybe you're working out more. Maybe you're traveling or spending time with people who actually appreciate you. And every single post, every update, every sign that you're thriving without him is like a punch to the gut. Because it's proof that he was holding you back, proof that you're happier without the drama he brought into your life. And the worst part for him? He can't say anything. He can't tell you he's bothered. He can't admit that seeing you do well without him hurts. Because that would mean admitting he was wrong. So he just watches. And that fear grows. The fear that you'll keep rising, that you'll find someone better, that one day he'll see you completely happy with someone else and realize he could have been that person if he hadn't messed it up. Now let's talk about the third fear. And this one cuts deep because it attacks his identity. The fear that he's not actually a good man. See, most men have this image of themselves. They see themselves as decent, respectful, good guys. Even if they mess up, they tell themselves stories that protect that image. She was crazy. The relationship was toxic. It just wasn't working. Whatever story lets them sleep at night. But when you hurt a good woman, when you know she didn't deserve what you put her through, those stories don't work anymore because there's no way to spin it. There's no villain to blame, no toxic drama to point at, just you, your choices, your actions, and the pain you caused someone who actually cared about you. And that brings up a question most men are terrified to ask themselves. Am I actually a good person? Because if you can hurt someone who loved you, someone who showed up for you, someone who gave you chance after chance, what does that say about who you are? It's not about a mistake. Mistakes happen. It's about the pattern, the taking her for granted, the choosing yourself over and over while she kept choosing you, the way you knew you were hurting her and did it anyway. That's not a mistake. That's character. And facing that is terrifying. Most men run from this fear. They bury it under distractions. They blame circumstances. They focus on moving forward instead of looking back, because looking back means seeing themselves clearly, and what they see doesn't match the image they want to have. Here's what happens in his head. He'll be in a moment, maybe with someone new, maybe alone, and he'll remember something. The way you looked at him when he let you down again, the way your voice sounded when you finally stopped fighting for the relationship, the way you just went quiet and stopped trying. And in that moment, he sees himself through your eyes, and he doesn't like what he sees. He sees a man who had someone real and treated her like she was replaceable, a man who made promises he didn't keep, a man who put his ego, his pride, his fear above someone who would have done anything for him. And that image doesn't fit with who he thinks he is. So he has two choices: face it or run from it. And most men run. They tell themselves they did their best, that relationships are complicated, that maybe it just wasn't meant to be. Anything to avoid the real truth, that they weren't the man they thought they were, that they failed someone who deserved better. But here's the thing about this fear. It doesn't go away just because you ignore it. It shows up in other ways. Maybe he overcompensates in his next relationship, trying to prove he's not that guy. Maybe he avoids commitment altogether because he's scared of hurting someone else. Maybe he becomes defensive whenever anyone questions his character because deep down he's already questioning it himself. And the really messed up part, he'll never be able to prove to himself that he's a good man until he faces what he did to you, until he admits it, owns it, learns from it. But most men won't do that. They'll carry that fear their whole life. The fear that maybe they're not who they pretend to be, that maybe the worst version of themselves is the real version. This fear is heavy. It changes how a man sees himself. And once that seed of doubt is planted, it's almost impossible to get rid of, because every time he looks in the mirror, every time he tries to tell himself he's a good guy, there's a voice in the back of his head that says, "But remember what you did to her." Let's get into the fourth fear, and this one is about ego, but it goes deeper than that. The fear that you'll find someone better and he'll have to watch. After a breakup, most men assume they have time to figure themselves out, time to see what else is out there, time to come back if they want to. They don't say this out loud. But there's this unspoken belief that you'll still be there, that if things don't work out for them, they can reach out and you'll at least respond. But then you do something he never saw coming. You actually move on. And not in the fake way where you're still hung up on him, but pretending to be fine. You genuinely move on. You stop thinking about him. You stop caring what he's doing. You open yourself up to new possibilities. And when you do, when you actually find someone who treats you the way you deserve to be treated all along, it destroys him, because now he has to face something he never prepared for. Someone else is getting the version of you he took for granted. Someone else gets your laugh, your energy, your support, your love. Someone else gets to wake up next to you and hear about your day and be the person you share your life with. And all of that, all of what he threw away is now going to someone who actually appreciates it. And he can't do anything about it. He can't stop it. He can't interfere. All he can do is watch from the outside and realize that he had his chance and he blew it. This fear is brutal because it's visual. He doesn't just imagine you being happy. He sees it. He sees the pictures, the posts, the way you smile differently with someone new, the way you look at this new person with the same care you used to look at him with. And it hits him like a truck. That was supposed to be me. I could have had that. But he's not. Someone else is, and that someone else is probably doing all the things he should have done, showing up consistently, communicating openly, making you feel valued, treating you like a priority instead of an option, all the things you begged him to do, and now he sees another man doing them effortlessly. And that brings up another fear buried in this one. What if she realizes how much better it can be? What if she sees that relationships don't have to be hard, that love doesn't have to hurt, that there are men out there who actually know how to treat a woman right? Because once you see that, once you experience what it's like to be with someone who actually values you, there's no going back. You'll never settle for less again. And he knows that. So he watches, maybe from a distance, maybe through social media, maybe through mutual friends. And every update, every sign that you're happy, every indication that this new person is everything he wasn't, it eats at him because it's proof. Proof that he wasn't good enough. Proof that you're better off. Proof that he lost. Men don't like losing, especially not to someone else. And when it comes to a woman they once had, a woman they thought would always be there, seeing her happy with someone new feels like the ultimate loss. Not just losing you to someone better. And here's the kicker. He can't even be mad about it because he knows it's his fault. He knows he had every chance to be that person for you. You gave him so many chances. You communicated what you needed. You fought for the relationship and he didn't step up. So now he has to live with watching someone else give you what he couldn't. Now we're getting into the fifth fear. And this one is darker because it's about legacy. The fear that you'll tell people the truth about who he really was. After a breakup, most men are very concerned with how they're perceived. They want people to think they're the good guy, that the breakup was mutual, that it just didn't work out. They don't want anyone knowing the full story, the lies, the disrespect, the times they chose themselves over you again and again, the way they made you feel small or crazy or not enough. And for a while, they can control that narrative. They tell their side to friends. They paint themselves in the best light possible. They make it sound like they did nothing wrong, like it was just one of those things that happens. And most people buy it because why wouldn't they? But there's one person who knows the truth, you. You know what really happened behind closed doors. You know how he treated you when no one was watching. You know the things he said, the promises he broke, the ways he hurt you that he'll never admit to anyone else. And that scares him because if you ever decided to tell people the truth, his whole image would crumble. That's why some men try to stay on good terms after a breakup, even when they don't actually care. It's not about friendship. It's about damage control. They want to make sure you're not out there telling people who they really are. They want to keep you quiet, keep you civil, keep the real story buried. But here's what he doesn't count on. Good women usually don't go around trashing their exes. You don't need to destroy his reputation to heal. You don't need everyone to know what he did to move on. You handle your pain privately. You vent to close friends maybe, but you're not out here trying to ruin him. And honestly, that makes him even more nervous because your silence is unpredictable. He doesn't know what you're saying or not saying. He doesn't know if people are asking you questions and you're telling them the truth. He doesn't know if his new girlfriend will somehow find out how he really treated you. And that uncertainty is terrifying because the truth is most people have no idea who someone really is in a relationship. They only see the public version, the version that's charming and funny and nice. They don't see the private version, the one that's selfish and dismissive and hurtful. And if you ever expose that version, if you ever decided to tell people what really went down, his reputation would take a hit.